Welcome to The Nation. I'm Rachel Smalley. Auckland, our biggest city, is forecast to grow by up to another 1 million people over the next 30 years. It's an enormous challenge to a city already dealing with a housing market that's unaffordable to first-time buyers. The Auckland City Council has released its Draft Unitary Plan, a blueprint for the next 30 years. And the council says it will help Auckland become, quote, the world's most livable city. But it's a plan that's alarmed neighbourhoods all over Auckland, as Claire Silvester reports.
A calm autumn afternoon at Browns Bay, but this seaside suburb could be in for a radical change. Some parts of this neighbourhood could be zoned for 6-storey high apartment blocks. Auckland City Council's animation shows how Browns Bay could change over the next 30 years under the Unitary Plan. It's too much, too soon, says Richard Burton, a former planner and the co-founder of Auckland 2040, a group set up to lobby for changes to the Draft Unitary Plan.
Frankly, if you came back in 30 years' time, you'd probably think it will be a mess.
But the council is trying to create some order in a city that faces massive challenges in the future. It's estimated that over the next 30 years, up to 1 million new people will move into the city, which already has a population of around 1.4 million. People work all over the Auckland region, but most of the jobs are in the old Auckland city, where thousands of workers commute every day. It's no surprise that living close to the CBD comes at a premium. Auckland's population is growing, but Richard Burton believes the council's estimates are too high.
By zoning Auckland on the basis of the high estimate, they run the risk of grossly over-zoning for development and potentially grossly over-providing for infrastructure.
The Draft Unitary Plan is a mix of intensification and further sprawl. 3-storey developments will be allowed in nearly half of Auckland's residential areas, while 7% of suburbs will allow apartment blocks and terraced houses between 4 and 6 storeys tall. Richard Burton is worried that these kinds of developments could go ahead without neighbours or the council being notified.
Council's done by removing the objection rights and the neighbours' consent proposal is to prevent the community from having any say. It results in haphazard, scattered development all over Auckland.
Intensification isn't new to Auckland, but these apartments in the CBD show why some apartments were so unpopular. Burton says he's not opposed to intensification. In fact, he'd like to see more infill zones, with developments similar to existing homes. In South Auckland, the Unitary Plan has not been so controversial. A local meeting this week to discuss the plan only attracted 30 residents. But some locals are concerned about the intensification and the quality of new developments, says local board chairman Peter Skelton.
For years we end up with all this cheap-looking housing built in our backyard. We want house as better as the house in Newmarket and Remuera. Why are we getting all these cheap houses building in our area?
And many residents have other more pressing priorities, according to board member Lydia Sosine.
Some of our community probably not interested because people have different priorities. Many of the residents around here, the priorities are food on the table, keeping your job, and some plan that's sort of not going to hit me in the immediate future is not my concern.
Indeed, when we asked some residents of Mangere whether they knew about the plan, the answer was resoundingly the same.
No.
What plan is that?
Oh, not really. No, I only know about South Auckland.
So is all this criticism of the Unitary Plan just a case of not in my backyard?
Everybody is interested in their own vested interests. That's common knowledge. But when 49% of the area is zoned for mixed housing, that's a very large backyard.